Hey, it's Katie, and oh, go ahead.
I was going to say,
Read my-
welcome to the Tiny and Katie show.
I have to first start by bragging on myself a little bit.
Okay. Better than anyone I know, but go ahead.
I ran a half marathon on Saturday, 13.1 miles, and I did better. This is the second time I ran a half, and my time was better than the first time. So I ran it
Okay.
in 2 hours and 32 minutes. And my goals were don't throw up, don't pass out, and run the whole time. Like,
Mhm.
even when I went to the only time I allowed myself to, like, really slow down is when I went through the water stops, and I would grab the water, walk and drink it, and then throw
Right.
it on the ground and keep going. But other than that, I ran the whole time. So I was very excited about that, and I ran with my sweet friend, dear friend, Ashley, and she ran it in 2 hours and 12 minutes. Like, she was on fire, and
Wow.
she's, like, really short too. Those little legs, like, really carried her.
Forgive me. Did you
Um
say what your time was?
2 hours and 32 minutes.
Okay. 2 hours, 32 minutes.
The last time I ran a half, I did it in like 2 hours and 37 minutes. So
You're in the
I know.
ballpark. You're good.
Yeah, and I did stop about halfway to use the bathroom, which probably added like 2 or 3 minutes to my time. My goal was
Now, for you, Kate, for those of you who don't
30
know, this is going
seconds.
to get way personal. Katie is the quickest bathroom user I have ever
Yeah.
known in my life.
Yeah, it's
Ever.
intense. It's intense. Yeah, it's very quick. I don't
So it
mess around
probably
in there.
added 20 seconds to your time.
Yeah.
Tops.
Well, I had to wait for someone to get out of the porta potty. So
25 seconds, excuse me.
yeah. Yeah, I never understand. I mean, I don't want to get like deep into this conversation, but I never understand what people do in the bathroom that takes them so long. It's not a place I want to hang out. I want to get in and out.
It's not for me either, but there unless, and I'm not saying you do, but it used to seem to me that you had to force yourself because I'm sorry, there's unless it's an extenuating circumstance, nothing is coming out of me that quickly.
Mhm.
Like nothing. It just doesn't happen. It's not that I don't want it to.
Right.
I don't want to, linger in the restroom.
Right. Unless you pop some sorbitol into your lattes,
There
then
you
we're
go.
talking about a whole different situation now.
Well, and that's what I mean. That's like going through with, grease, just rock and roll.
Yeah. So anyway, I ran a half marathon. I was really, really proud of myself. I did not do nearly as much training as I should have. And every time I ran a half, I've only ran 2, but
Every time.
every time when I run a half marathon. But if you look up any kind of training program, they always tell you to at least run 10 miles one time before the race, because if you can run 10, you'll be able to run the remaining 3. And I ran 9.3 last weekend. I just didn't. I couldn't do anymore. That was all I had. So I was really concerned. But it was a really great day, and it was the Virginia wine country half. So there were all these wineries that were there. There were 13 of them that were there afterwards, and everybody was tasting and drinking wine. And God, we had a blast. I had such a good time.
Was there wine on as you were running?
No.
Did they give you any?
No, but we were running through. We started at a winery and ran, through, not through the vineyard, but right outside of it, and it was beautiful. It was really nice, and the weather was perfect, and it was not too terribly hilly, and I was really freaking proud of myself. I just did not train nearly as much as I should have for it, and I really was very proud of myself and proud of my time. So that was a big accomplishment of mine. I'm also in the remaining 8 days of school. I only have 8 school days left. Then I'm hanging up my teacher hat.
Yep, you're not going back to teaching.
I'm not going back to teaching. So I originally.
So you're going to be unemployed.
No.
No?
No, I'm not going to be unemployed.
Well, I would think that if you don't have a job, you need to radio for help.
Yeah. Well, I might be radioing for help, especially if I can't find a place to live here in the next 4 weeks. So so this will actually be next Friday will be my last day as a teacher. So after 9 years, it's time for me to hang it up and on to the next move.
Yeah.
So big things are happening.
So then we also have a big trip coming. Well, we don't. You do.
Yeah, I'm going to Iceland in June 17th. So yeah.
What sparked this? Because Katie has been
the Beluga Whale Sanctuary. Like what sparked the Iceland trip?
Well, let me say this. So you get to the punchline here. The Beluga Whale Sanctuary is what made her want to go to Iceland. But Katie she's spent the better part of the last couple of years. I mean, she is really getting herself around. She's like a world hooker, so to speak. You know, she's just really, spreading it as much as she can.
What are you talking about? Like, what the hell are you talking about?
What do you think? You're like a hooker in all these different countries? No, I was kind of making an analogy.
You didn't explain what I was.
Katie has become a travel whore, is what she's done. That's more accurate.
I can handle that.
Not a traveling whore, a travel whore.
I love it. I love to travel. It makes me feel very alive. It makes me feel so alive. And I think everybody has a favorite animal, obviously, that they enjoy and have probably since they were a child. Right. Mine has been I love beluga whales. And I started loving beluga whales when I was a kid, and my mom would play the cassette tape of Baby beluga in the deep blue sea, swim so wild and you swim so. Do you know the song?
Just from you singing it, yeah.
And so, I've always loved beluga whales because of that song, and then I started researching more about them, and they're so cute and so smart. I love their big melons, and
like me,
yeah,
I'm like a baby beluga.
Yeah, I don't think you are. You're. I had a joke.
Sweet, smart, and big head.
Yeah. There you go. That's tiny all the
way. All of them. Look, you take me in Iceland, and I'm the reason you're going.
Well, I went swimming with belugas at the Atlanta Aquarium maybe 10 years ago, not quite, with my two best friends, Kelly and Bridget. And it's the only place, as far as I know, in the United States that they have belugas in captivity, and you can interact with them. And so we went down to the aquarium and did the beluga experience, and I was a freaking train wreck the entire time. I could not stop crying. The second we walked in and I saw them, I lost it. And all the pictures, because they have a professional photographer there, all the pictures, I'm hysterical. And my friends have their hands on my back, like consoling me, because I'm just a train wreck. And overcome with emotions.
The belugas are looking at each other going, what the hell?
What's wrong with this chick?
God.
And so after that, I was even more hooked on belugas. And there is a sanctuary in Iceland where they have two belugas that they brought from Russia, and you can go and interact with them in their natural environment. And so that's why I'm going to Iceland, is to go to this beluga sanctuary.
Can you swim with them?
I don't think you swim with them because it's very, very cold.
Right.
And I think it's more of like an interaction where you see them in their. I really don't know.
So what? You sit around and smoke cigars and drink brandy?
Exactly. I don't know exactly what you do with the belugas, but listen, I'm going to see them and I'm going to be excited.
I mean, do you walk up with the morning newspaper in your coffee and say, morning?
I don't really know exactly what interact means. Like, what exactly are the interactions?
Help them with their homework?
I don't know exactly what we're going to do.
All right. How is everyone doing today?
But this has been my number one bucket list item for years. And so I'm excited to cross it off. But yeah, so the beluga whales are coming up soon. Wrapping up teaching, ran a half marathon. That's about where I am in my life. What's new and exciting with you? Oh
God, Katie, I have so much that I don't have to tell. I mean, my life has been totally boring. The most sensational thing, and I use that term loosely, that's happened here is apparently it's going to be a bad tick season because Mary's found 2 ticks on her in 24 hours. And that is just cause for Mary to just freak out.
Yeah. I'm telling you, after that, she's like, this really ticks me off. I'm done with this.
Right. It sucked all the life out of her.
Yeah. It just really bugs me. Totally bugs me. My mom always told me growing up that there were 2, animals, I guess, that were put on this earth that serve no purpose. Do you want to know what they are?
Well, ticks would be one, and probably not flies.
Nope. Because they're decomposers. Nope. Cockroaches.
Okay.
Can you think of any purpose that a cockroach serves other than scaring everybody and just being disgusting?
No, but that you mentioned that, I looked up, since we have the world at our fingertips. When she got these 2 ticks, I'm just researching. I said, what is the purpose of ticks? There
is not one purpose for a tick.
Well, the only thing that I found is, and this is kind of, to me, this is a loose justification for their existence, is they said that because they are a food source for things like chickens, hens, field grouse, things of that nature. I'm like, well, and basically what they're saying is, so if ticks didn't exist, it would be a big impact to the diet of chickens.
Is that true? Is that really true? I mean, I'm sure they have a million other things that they could choose from that they could peck at other than
ticks. Could they just find something else?
Like just go to a different food source. I mean,
yeah. Stop worrying about hogging the ticks. If I couldn't eat beef anymore, I would eat chicken. So I've found something else that I could eat. Yeah, so let's just move away from the ticks. They're not good
selfish.
For you. And let's just exterminate these things because they're awful. And I mean, anything that buries its head in your skin and sucks your blood and then winds up looking like a massive wart when it's over, I'm not needed.
One of the highest anxiety situations I can be in is when somebody has a tick on them and you are then tasked to remove the tick with the tweezers. And what do they always tell you?
Don't make sure you get the head.
Make sure you get the head, because if you don't and it snaps off, that person can get a disease and die. Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't do it anymore. The last time I did remove a tick was probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it was off of a boyfriend, and the head did not come out, and I lied and said that it did, but it did not. And I was just so afraid that he would be mad at me, so I lied about it. But that produces so much anxiety when you have to pull a tick off of somebody. So
did this friend wind up dying?
No, they were fine. I just lied. And
so they didn't get Lyme disease. So they're okay.
No.
I mean, next time I saw him, he was walking with a horrendous limp and speaking, he shook violently, but he was perfectly fine. And I did not blame it on the tick's head at all.
Well, because I'm like shaking. You make sure you get the head. You better get the head. Make sure you get it. I'm like, okay. And I go in there with the shaky hand, and I'm like, there's no way I'm getting the head out of with this tick. I can't stop shaking.
What do I look like, McDreamy from Grey's Anatomy? You're lucky that I can even hold the tweezers.
So I will not do that. But do you want to hear an interesting fact about cockroaches?
I'd love it.
I don't believe they serve any type of purpose, but if you ever see a cockroach, you should never step on it to kill it. And would you like to know why?
Does it send a signal for more?
No, because if you kill a female cockroach that's carrying eggs, the eggs will then go into your shoes, on the soles of your shoes, and that's how you get cockroaches in your house, because then they hatch in your house.
Oh, no. That's like the stink bugs. They say don't kill stink bugs because like the moment you kill them in their last ditch effort, like to screw you over, they send out a signal for more of those bastards to just come in.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I still kill them because they just piss me off. But luckily they're not as bad as they used to be.
I remember when stink bugs were really, really bad back in like 2011, 2012. Yeah. They were really bad. And I used to get really excited when I would clean my house and count how many stink bugs I would vacuum up, which was really...
Oh, I remember that.
I would like have a running list of stink bugs that I sucked into the vacuum. I clearly had way too much time on my hands, but I used to love sucking up those suckers. I used to love it.
That's crazy.
Luckily, I found other hobbies since then, so that's good. I don't know if you saw this on Facebook, but I was teaching and I said something to my kids, and one of my kids says, "Kate or Miss Dickinson, you say that all the time." And I sat down and I said, "What are other phrases that I say all the time that how like you say things over and over again, you just don't realize it because you're saying it, people will point it out to you." They were so funny. They said, "Well, you say, 'Can I tell you a story?' a lot." And I constantly tell stories. And then they said that I am always saying, "I do CrossFit. Give it to me. I do CrossFit. Bring it here. I do CrossFit."
As if that's a qualifier for everything.
And then they said that I'm always saying, "Can you refill my water bottle? Can you do me a favor? I do CrossFit. Stop that. That's annoying. Stop humming. It's annoying." It was very, very, it was hilarious because they were all things that I think I've said for my entire life. "Can you do me a favor?" and "Can I tell you a story?" are my two biggest things that I say constantly. It was so funny that 9 and 10-year-olds were able to also pick that out.
I can tell you one thing that you say to me all the time, and that is,
go. Where's the podcast?
Well, there's that, but the big one lately has been, well, what should I do?
Well, Tiny, I've always asked you what I should do. Always.
So here's the most recent example. Okay. So Katie she's moving. We've made mention of that the past few weeks. So she's moving up north, closer to home. So she has to be out of her home right now. She's
By the end of
keeping
June.
it. She's gonna rent it out. And I have been searching for a place for her as well, like on Facebook, which is the primary place where that kind of stuff happens now. And she has particular needs of, well, here's what I can pay, and here's, I need to be able to bring Winnie, my cat, and blah, 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 this many bedrooms. Okay, the standard stuff that everyone does when they're looking for a place.
I would also like to pay no rent. I'd like it to be for free. And so
obviously, but she does have a number that she doesn't want to go above. So she sends me this text the other day that says, hey, there's a place. It's here. It's this much money. Now, I noticed right away that it was a little north of where she wanted to be.
It's pricey. Yeah.
Yeah. And she said, well, what should I do? And I said, well, your budget. Because she said it's more than I wanted to pay. I said, well, your budget and what you can do. I don't. And she goes, well, it's too much. What should I do? I said, then don't do it.
I know it sounds stupid. Like, as you're saying in the story, it just sounds like a dumb thing for me to say. But let me defend myself a little bit here. The reason I asked you is because where I'm moving, there's not a lot of options. There was one house, duplex, that I did look at, and I really liked it. And then the guy told me I was responsible for the backyard, and I'm thinking, okay, no big deal. I can handle it. I go to the house, look at the backyard. It's almost an acre of land. I've never mowed a lawn in my life. One time I mowed my friend Julie's, but when I was growing up, that wasn't my chore. I had two brothers. That wasn't something that I had to do. And since then, I've lived in apartments. In my house now, I don't have a lawn, so I've never had to mow. And I'm looking at this backyard and I'm thinking, there's no way in hell I could take care of this thing. I don't even know where to start. And he says to me, we'd probably want to buy a riding mower.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, aren't those things like $3,000? No, the house was great, but there is no way that I was going to be able to take care of that backyard. No way.
Yeah, if I want to mow this lawn, need a riding mower. That's just too much green.
Yeah. Haha. That's not your best. But that was the only thing I have looked at so far. And so when this gentleman, same guy, messaged me that this property became available, it's 3 bedrooms, which I don't need 3 bedrooms, and it's a little bit more expensive than I can afford. But I just was thinking, I don't have a lot of other options. Should I just do it and figure it out later? And so there is a little bit more to the story than just,
well,
hey,
why
can't
wouldn't
afford
you
this.
add that?
I figured you knew that because I'm panicked that I don't have a place to live as of the end
of June. There's something else that I also know about you is that I have rarely met anyone who is as anal over their money as you. And I'm not downing you for that. You're very, very cognizant of your money. Mm-hmm. So knowing that and how important, keeping on your budget is, why would you think that I would say to you, of all people, well, you know what, just pay the extra $500 and figure it out?
I don't know. Maybe in the back of my mind, I was thinking you'd say, Katie, just do it and we'll make it work. Like, as a team effort, we'll figure it out.
So I'm going to subsidize your rent? You know what, Katie? I'll give you the extra $500 a month. Don't worry.
Yeah. Maybe I was thinking something like that was.
It's okay. The baby doesn't need to eat.
When I think about you, Tiny, and me, I just sometimes forget that we're two separate entities. Like, Tiny and I was trying to explain this to my friend Ashley over the weekend. Tiny and I were so connected. There was just nothing that one would do that the other one wasn't involved in. I mean, to the point where I had this enormous fear, irrational, of course, of changing my bank. I did not want to change my bank. Somehow the thought of taking my money from one account and closing it and then opening another account with another bank was just too much for me to handle. I just could not handle that thought. And then I was thinking, well, all my bills are hooked into this account. How do I switch it so that it's going to another account? And this is before the it was just a process. And it was not a good situation I was in. I was very anxious.
In tears. Let me tell you, there were times where she was sitting here. She's like, they're open on Sundays.
So
Name me another bank that's open on Sundays. You know that Sundays are sometimes the only. We're so damn busy on the weekends, and you know sometimes Sundays are the only day I can get up here to cash a damn check, and you want me to change my bank? What kind of humanity is this? Oh God!
here's the thing: is the bank was an hour away from where I was living, and this is before the days of like take a picture of a check and it goes into your account. You actually had to go and deposit the check. So every Sunday, I would take Tiny in my car, and we would load up, and we would drive to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to go to my bank.
Yes.
To deposit all my checks because I was too afraid to go to another bank and switch
and
it out.
I can't tell you how much I got the craps of this because we were so busy with these events that we were having like 2 and 3 checks a week, and it was just insane. Now, me obviously being a normal human, my bank was local, so no big deal.
Oh my gosh!
So finally, I told Katie, I'm like, Katie, I can't. I mean, it's a little too much now. Okay, so it's every Sunday.
I love you, but I can't be driving to Harrisburg for you to cash checks.
Yeah,
2 hours round trip.
And like, if you don't need them, if you don't need that money right now, then why don't we just build them up and do like maybe once a month? So then what would happen is I would kind of forget, and then she would sit here in the studio if we have a little downtime, and next thing you know, she's going like this. These are checks. She's like, oh God, all these checks.
Gotta get up to the bank.
And she knew at this point that pissed me off now that I was going to take time and go up here to this just to deposit checks. She knew it was going to make me upset.
It's so like Tiny didn't know how to say no. No wasn't an option.
Oh, all these checks. These checks.
Check it out.
Oh man, here's another check. Oh God, Tiny, we've been busy. Oh my goodness, these checks.
Did I ever tell you about there was a situation that oh my gosh, I've had so many situations. I used to have a very big fear of banks. I don't as much anymore. Now it's car washes. It changes every couple of years. But I used to be very, very afraid to go to the bank for a few reasons. I had a really hard time understanding how banks operated. And it was
you give them their money, they give you your money back. I mean, it's just
I had a really hard time just understanding the concept of banking. And I mean, this is when I was young. This is when I was like 18, 19 years old.
Like first 30.
This was like last year. And this one time I went to the bank to deposit a check, and I got, you know how you pull up very, very close, obviously, so you don't have to, get out of your car to
of course.
Okay. I got way too close to the bank, and I actually hit the building. This is when I was in college. I was like 19.
Katie's the reason for the pylons and the markers that say 8 foot and that's it.
Well, I was not a very smart young woman. There were so many things that I could not figure out. So my mom always told me, try to get as close as you can. So you're not putting your arm out, having to get out of the car. So, but I had no depth perception or brains at all. And I just was like, okay, I'm going to get as close as I can. The next thing you know, I hit the foundation, hit the building, and it, shook a little bit. Everybody was like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, I hit the building. I'm so sorry. What do I do? And they're like, oh, nothing, it's fine. 'Cause it wasn't that dramatic. So then I was having anxiety leaving the bank. So I took the wheel of my car and turned it the complete opposite direction, since I was up against the building. And then I hit the lane going out because I put my foot on the gas too hard, and I hit the other part of the bank. This is in York, Pennsylvania. And I drove out, and I never went back. I never went back to that bank again. I would go like 45 minutes outside of town because I was so embarrassed. Every time I drove by, I was just thinking that, yep, I hit the bank twice. Not once, but twice. And everybody saw it. Everybody knew it was me. I was in my stupid white Grand Am that was always getting in trouble and always all over the place. And it was.
Do you still have? Did you change banks?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I used to be at Metro Bank, which was a Pennsylvania thing. I can't remember what it was called when I was growing up. And I loved Metro. I loved everything about them. I just was so obsessed with that bank. And then I switched, and now I have Truist. Oh my gosh, please tell me there's Truist up where you live.
Yes, and even if there's not, you can mobile deposit.
Okay, I can't go through the hassle of having to switch banks again. Once was enough in my lifetime.
Of course, you still probably have a phone that can't take pictures.
No, I have definitely caught up with the real world, and I do more technologically advanced things than I used to. I was just so afraid of like any kind of adulting. Anything that was adulting scared me. And so now, obviously, I'm better at it, but I still have anxiety when I have to call my insurance company. I do not understand insurance. It's like over my head. And I have a really hard time understanding how cell phones work and towers and all of that. So
who cares? Just use it. Why are you trying to understand how it works?
Because when I travel abroad, I wanna like understand it and how it's working, but it's just too much for my brain to handle. And so
anyway, this is a person, folks, that has gone overseas and somehow made it back.
I've done a lot of things in my life. I've done a lot of things, but that didn't mean that I wasn't terrified as I was doing all of these things. Don't you have a place that you like you get nervous when you go there or when you have to call this company? Oh,
yes.
What is it?
HOA meetings.
Oh, well, you don't have to go to those.
When you're the president, you do. It's not so bad up here, but down at the beach, I'm president of our condo association.
Really? I did not know this about you.
So, and
do you have everybody address you as Mr. President when you walk in?
God, no. But I do have Hail to the Chief play upon my entrance.
Obviously.
And everyone is required to stand. But I always get it built up in my mind what these meetings are going to, how they're going to go. And they rarely go anywhere near where my mind had them built up to be. The reason is because people this is their investment property. So this is their part of their investment strategy, their long-term goals, as it is mine and Mary's. So you're even more so invested in how that money is being spent if you have HOA dues than you are really any other, like the HOA back home. And they're also considerably more. So whereas we pay like $60 a year here in Waynesboro, it's,
is that really the number? $60 a year?
Yeah. Because
mine is $600 a year and I don't get anything with it. Like you've seen my house.
Here in Waynesboro, all we have in our development is just the only reason we have that is because there's like drainage areas where we have to get them mowed and that kind of thing. So but there's no like playgrounds or, any common areas, things like that, no paved surfaces.
Right.
But so that's $60 a year covers that times however many houses there are. But down there's 24 units in our building and it's like almost $3,000 a year. Now we do have a pool and there's 2 parking lots and all that. And I understand all that, but man, oh man, you want to make sure that money's getting spent as wisely as you can.
Absolutely.
So people are just so passionate about it.
Yeah, I understand.
They show up at these meetings and they want answers for all of this. And I get it. I truly do. But in my mind, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's going to be like a Jerry Springer show and they're going to throw chairs.
Why did you take on this responsibility? Why? I don't.
So there was a call it like a season of change. And we were coming out of COVID, not coming out of COVID. We were in 2021. There had been like this period where nobody heard anything from the board. Well, what happened was obviously when you sell, like if we were to sell our place right now, I don't have to tell anybody else that I'm selling it. But once I do that, I'm no longer on the board. So a couple people had sold, didn't really communicate that. We have a management company. Long and short of it is there was stuff that needed taken care of. And I'm a firm, I hate when you're in a meeting and you need volunteers for something and someone says, okay, who's we need somebody to be president. And you're just like, if you need somebody to do it, I'll do it. It's fine.
Wow.
Let's just move on. There's no, this lingering stuff, not to mention you don't want someone to take a job like that where that much money is, needs to be accounted for and somebody to be like, oh, well, I guess I'll do it.
So you didn't have to do like an election and get voted
no, there was.
into this?
Yeah.
Did you run it unopposed?
No. So we had to elect a board first. So there's 5 positions on the board. So everyone then says who's willing to be on the board. And then the board itself meets and elects the officers. So they elect within themselves the president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and so on. So that's where we are.
Wow. I had no idea you had that responsibility. Look at you go.
It's not a lot of it. Go ahead.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, look at where we started and look at where we ended up. There's me being afraid of banks. Now I'm adulting. There's you that used to travel with me to the bank every single Sunday in Harrisburg. And here you are.
Now I'm adulting.
Now you're the president, Mr. President of the HOA Association. Like, that's big things.
And two of them, mind you. So both places, here at home and down there. So I'm president times 2.
Wow. And,
yeah, right.
And you don't get paid for that job?
No, it's funny. I have a saying that I did come up with this myself. I've told both of our because the management companies pretty much take care of the day-to-day stuff, and we just approve expenses and that kind of thing. But I told both of the owners of the management companies that we work with, I said, it has to be a free position because you couldn't pay me enough to do it.
Yeah.
If they just said, well, what do you think you need per year to do that? Well, you come up, that number's going to be way high.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
wow, I had no idea you did that. Okay. Well, so I'm not alone I have a situation that scares me or something, or a place that makes me nervous. The problem
is that mine are once a year. You get checks probably, I'm assuming, rather more frequently than that.
Well, I have direct deposit now, so I don't have to worry about I don't have to worry about it anymore.
And thank goodness you're not coming back to radio where you get them, we still get checks when we go to different appearances. So
yeah, that's right. But I think even if I did, I would be able to figure out how to take that, because there is a way you can take a picture and it uploads into your account, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yes.
I've never done it. I've never done it before.
So, no. Well, you best learn. I'm not showing you again. Nobody write Katie a check. Just don't do it.
Just Venmo me and we'll take care of it that
way. I was going to say, remember, wouldn't Venmo have been great back then?
Yes. I don't know why it took so long for that invention to take off. It's such a brilliant thing.
Just written me every check and I could have Venmo'd you.
Yeah, I know. It would have been, our lives would have, but you know what? We wouldn't have those great memories. So here we are. We wouldn't have anything to talk about on our podcast this week.
And with that, the Tiny and Katie Show wraps up for another week. We will talk to you soon. Big thanks to our sponsor, Roots Hair Design, Route 11 in Marion. I got to get my hair cut, Katie. So do you.
Me?
Well, you got to go to Iceland. You can't go to Iceland looking like that.
Trust me, I'm not going to be going to Iceland looking like this. I just got up. There's that. So we'll make sure it looks good when I'm there.
Have a great week.
Bye.
It's the Tiny and Katie Show.